Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm your host, Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a good day. It is New Year's Day. It is just about 5 o'clock my time, Mountain Time. So it's a perfect time for another video. But before I get to that, I want to take this time to wish everybody out there watching a very happy New Year. And however you spent your Christmas, whether it was alone or with family and friends, I hope you had a fantastic, safe time and that you enjoyed each other's company and that you looked after yourselves and one another, because that is what is most important. Now, on to the topic of the show. I want to give a special shout out to two people. First of all, a viewer by the name of BP, who gave me the idea for this episode. And this episode is my favorite 25 albums of all time. And my next shout out is to another viewer, Nikki Tuzio, who actually gave me an idea to add to my list. So this is going to be a long list, guys. It's going to be done in two parts. I'm going to do numbers 25 to number 13 in part one, and in part two, I'm going to do numbers 12 to 1. So whenever you're watching this, grab a drink, grab something to eat, smoke them if you got them, sit back and enjoy. So here we go. I've got my drink here, so if I ever get parched, I'm going to lean over and take a sip. Um, so here we go. Number 25 is Jimi Hendrix with Electric Ladyland, released in 1968. This is the Jimi Hendrix Experience, sorry, third studio release. There have been numerous posthumous releases done after his passing in 1970. But Jimi Hendrix and the Jimi Hendrix Experience only released 3 studio albums during their life cycle. So again, released through Polydor in Europe and Reprise in North America and Track in the UK. It has many different covers, as you saw. Um, there is the infamous Nude Models cover version that I will not show. I do have a copy of it, but I will not show it. Fantastic album with songs like Have You Ever Been to Electric Ladyland, The Experimental and the Gods Made Love, Crosstown Traffic, All Along the Watchtower, uh, Burning the Midnight Lamp. Um, Also, the one track from Noah Redding, Little Miss Strange, which starts off side 3. Fantastic album. This is where Jimi Hendrix wanted to experiment, to go off on different avenues, using such gospel backup singers as Cissy Houston, mother of Whitney Houston on some of the tracks. Just a fantastic, enjoyable album. Some would say his masterpiece. Some would say he went off the rails a little bit. I'd say it's his masterpiece. That's number 25. Coming in at number 24, and this is again, and shout out to Nikki Tuzio, who gave me this idea. I've had this album in my collection for years. I completely forgot about it. It is George Benson with Breezin'. George Benson, fantastic blues, jazz, R&B guitarist. Has had many releases over the years. This is his 1976 release. Fantastic album through Warner Brothers. If you ever want an album that you sit down and you put on the stereo, again, I'm very much one for turning the lights off and then the only light coming in the room coming off the stereo components. You put this album on, you sit back, turn the lights off, just close your eyes, you're off and running with songs like the title track, the instrumental, um, This Masquerade, just beautiful, beautiful. Fantastic guitars, very laid back style. Um, Beautiful singing voice, just melts, like it melts your heart. I swear to God. Fantastic album from 76 to Warner Brothers. There is, Nikki mentioned a reissue that came out in 2001, featuring three bonus songs, bonus tracks, one of which is an edit version of This Masquerade. I'm going to look into getting that. So that's number 24. Coming in at number 23 is Don McLean with American Pie. Released in 1972 originally through United Artists, and then again released to EMI on the reissue. This, some would say, is Don McLean's signature album. This is what he's known for. The fantastic 8 minute plus title track, very atmospheric, very much a storyteller in his lyrics. Um, just beautiful, very melodic, also very melancholy. Other songs of note on the album are Vincent. I remember hearing this album. I was 8 years old, 8.5. And I just kept thinking of the title track. Is this song ever going to end? Because it never, to me, it never did end. And when he did American Pie, the track live in concert, sometimes it would go up to like 15 minutes in length, right? Uh, Fantastic album. And yeah, this it would be considered Don McLean's signature release. Coming in at number 22 is Pink Floyd with Metal. Released in 71. This is Pink Floyd's, I believe, sixth release, 2 years before the mammoth eighth release of Dark Side of the Moon, featuring the sidelong epic of Echoes, I think, which clocks in at 23 minutes plus. Beautiful extended piece of music, very experimental, very bass driven. Some parts of it very funky, just just beautiful. Other songs of note on Metal are Pillow of Winds and the opening track One of These Days, featuring vocals by Nick Mason. Beautiful guitar work from Dave Gilmour on One of These Days. But again, Echoes is considered to be the centerpiece of the album for Metal, and I would have to agree. That's number 22. At number 21 is Miles Davis with Bitches Brew. Released as a double album, uh, 4 tracks, released in 1970. This is basically some would consider this to be Miles Davis' seminal album, featuring contributions from John McLaughlin, Herbie Hancock, just to name a few, with songs like Pharaoh's Dance, John McLaughlin, Miles Runs the Voodoo Down, Sanctuary, the final track on the album. There are certain albums, I gotta say this, that when they're released, uh, the landscape of the music scene changes. And to me, this is one of those albums. Every artist has an album in their catalog that once that album comes out, their career is never the same. And this is one of those albums for Miles Davis. This is the album for Miles Davis. Um, there was a story that there is a documentary. There was one on um, on Netflix that I saw that mentioned that when he sent a letter to Columbia at the time for the name of the album, that he was going to name it Bitches Brew, and that they were to let everyone at CBS and Columbia know. There was a big uproar about the name, but he decided to go with it and he stuck with it. And they let him stick with it, you know. And it is a seminal album for him. That was number 21. Coming in at number 20 is Neil Young with Harvest. Um, Released in 72 through Reprise Records. Neil Young is another one of those artists that basically does whatever the hell he wants to do. I mean, there's no way around that. Okay. Um, and this is one of those albums, Heart of Gold, Old Man, uh, A Man Needs a Maid, just an amazing album, featuring such backup vocalists, as Graham Nash and Stephen Stills and David Crosby and Emmylou Harris on some of the tracks. Just an amazing album. And if you can get yourselves a copy of the reissue, the anniversary edition of Harvest, there is a documentary on there that is a mammoth length. It's like something just under 2 hours, like an hour and 58 minutes on the recording of Harvest. You need to see that. Like you really and truly do. It's like watching a movie. Pop some popcorn, get this documentary, and bloody watch it. It's amazing. It's amazing. That's number 20. This is going to be a varied list, guys, as I said. Coming in at number 19 is Just Tall with Aqualung. Released in 71, March 19th. 71, I know the date because I just recently did a video on Aqualung, the reissue. Again, some people would call this album um, Ian Anderson's, just Ian Anderson, Jethro Tull's seminal album, with songs like the title track, Cross-Eyed Mary, Wind Up, um, just, Hymn 43, Locomotive Breath, just an amazing mix of folk, acoustic, um, progressive rock, and just some also balls to the wall rock, and all in 1971. There's been the reissue that came out starting in 2011. Chris Lesong with Parlophone and Ian Anderson have reissued all of the albums in box set form. The version that came out of Aqualung came out in 2011. It was subsequently again released in 2016 and most recently a few months ago, because Stephen Wilson didn't like the remastered version of Aqualung that Peter Muse did. So he took the tapes and remastered them himself and re-released it. So if you can get yourselves a copy of Aqualung on the reissue, you'll be doing yourself a favor because it's at a good price, something like $39 with taxes on Amazon. That's number 19. Coming in at number 18 is Santana with Amigos. Um, Released in 1976. Uh, I have a bit of an affinity with this album because my sister Anna introduced me to this album. We heard it at a friend's place, Uh, Somebody was playing it on the stereo, and Anna heard it, and she went out and got the album, featuring the one track that really gets me on this album is Europa, the instrumental, which was like a top 20 hit for them. Fantastic guitar work on this album. Uh, Other songs of note are Balami Hamana on this album, I believe. Yeah, that is on this album. And but Europa for me is 5 minutes and 30 seconds of just pure bliss. Fantastic tone on the guitar, fantastic melody, beautiful, uh, beautiful tone, and it's in different sections. So it to me makes me cry when I listen to it. It is just wonderful. That's number 18. Coming in at number 17 is Marvin Gaye with What's Going On. I said this is going to be an eclectic list. Released in 71 through Tamla Motown, um, with songs like the title track, Mercy, Mercy Me. Just an amazing album. This was where Marvin Gaye started to question society and what was going on in terms of the Vietnam War and in terms of equal rights for minorities. Uh, and he delivered it in such a beautiful, eloquent way. His voice to me is golden on this. And he tackled issues on this album that at that time people were like, what I'm sure Berry Gordy at Motown was saying, what are you doing? You know, but he stuck to his guns and he released it, and it became one of his biggest hits in terms of albums. That's number 17. Coming in at number 16 is Tom, The Who with Tommy. Released in 1969, double album. Um, it is considered by some, by quite a few actually, as Pete Townsend's uh, opera, opera masterpiece, a rock opera masterpiece, I should say. Double album featuring the story of a little boy named Tommy, who is deaf, dumb, and blind, and with songs like Pinball Wizard, The Acid Queen, uh, See Me, Feel Me. Um, just an amazing album. Um, the reason why it's number 16 on the list, some people would probably think that, it should be higher. But the reason why it's number 16 for me on the list is, how can I put this? To me, sometimes it does suffer from overplay. Side three of the album kind of meanders a little bit. Um, I mean, it is a fantastic album. I mean, with songs like Amazing Journey, Sparks, The Underture. Um, again, Pinball Wizard is a classic. I actually like watching the movie Tommy, which features Tina Turner as the Acid Queen, singing it in Elton John, doing the Pinball Wizard, and features also Eric Clapton and Anne Margaret as Tommy's mother, and Oliver Reed as the friend of Anne Margaret in the movie. Um, it's a fantastic album. I just listening to it over the years, I just think that there are other ones that have come in from the Who, like Who's Next and Quadrophenia, that do rank higher for me. That's number 16. Coming in at number 15 is Mike Oldfield with Tubular Bells. Released in 73, the first release ever for Virgin Records, Richard Branson's label. Two side-long epics recorded at the Manor. Just an amazing piece of music separated into two sides. People generally listen to side one. The first opening, first 3 minutes of the opening, 3 minutes plus 4 minutes, was used in the opening of The Exorcist. So that's how people know it too. Uh, just an amazing journey through the the mind of one young Mike Oldfield, who was 19 at the time. And I have here, if I pull it out, if you can get here, sorry guys, if you can get this album, this version of Tubular Bells, it features a demo version of Tubular Bells Part 4, an 8-minute edited down version of what was going to at some point be Tubular Bells 4, but Mike Oldfield has decided to retire and the album will not be coming out. But if you can get yourselves a copy of this album, it's remastered and it has the additional track of Tubular Bells 4, the demo version. It clocks in at 8 minutes, 30 seconds. So if that is the edited version, I got to wonder how long the the unedited version is. And it is fantastic. So that's number 15. Coming in at number 14 is the Rolling Stones with Goat's Head Soup. Released in 1973, 10 tracks, an amazing album. This follows up their release of Exile on Main Street. Mick Jagger prefers this album over Exile on Main Street, and I would have to agree. It is a more concise album with songs like Dancing with Mr. D. But and Can You Hear the Music? But the album is known for the beautiful ballad Angie. And yeah, I would say it is a more concise album. It is a more direct album. Mick Jagger has said that he likes it better as I, you know, fix up my CDs here. He he likes it better due to the fact that Exile on Main Street, because it was a double album, uh, the musical ideas were going all over the place, and it lacks from a definite direction, in terms of what they wanted to do with the music. So he prefers, at that time, he preferred uh, Goat's Head Soup over Exile on Main Street. Um, Coming in at number 13, at the end of part one here, is Alice Cooper with Billion Dollar Babies. Fantastic album released in 1973. This album features songs like the title track featuring Donovan on co-lead vocals with Alice Cooper, Sick Things, I Love the Dead, uh, Marianne, um, Generation Landslide. Um, this album for me I came to this album late this year, actually. And what I like about it is you can tell where the band were going in terms of um, Alice Cooper's, I guess you'd say, fascination with the more sort of darker themes, like the morbid themes, like songs like I Love the Dead, which teeters on uh themes of necrophilia, you know. And it's um also other songs that start, and this track that starts off the album is Hello Hooray, which to me it's like you walk in, it's like you're walking into a theater and you're sitting in your seat and the door's shut behind you and you're like, oh shit, like what's going on? And then the house lights go down, the curtain goes up, and they're on stage, and he's here, and they're on stage saying, "We're here to entertain you. Sit back and relax because you're in our control for the next 2 hours, or however long." It has a very theatrical feel about it, and it's just a bloody brilliant album. Um, this was the last album to be produced um, for the Alice Cooper Group by Bob Ezrin, because the band at this point was starting to get a little bit uh, ticked off with what they perceived to be Bob Ezrin taking over the too many of the ideas that would end up on um, the Alice Cooper albums. So they decided to sort of take back a bit of control, and he left. Bob Ezrin left early on during the pre-production sessions for the album because he felt that if they weren't going to at least listen to his ideas, then he wasn't going to do like was going to play in a power struggle kind of a situation. So that's my list, part one of favorite 25 albums of all time. Please stay tuned for part two. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this list. It is a varied list. It's it goes from one end of the spectrum in terms of music genre to another. Hopefully you enjoy this. And again, hopefully that you'll hear of an album that you may not know of and go check it out on YouTube and discover something new. So I will say goodbye for now, and I will be back shortly with part two. Bye for now.